Okay, let's continue our understanding of vertex form. So I'm going to look at a function like y equals 2x squared plus 28x minus 100. Okay, and if I wanted to know the x or y intercepts, well, that's fairly easy because it's essentially the same process of lines. If you look at the x-intercept, that implies that y equals 0. If y equals 0, well, then I set y to 0. Okay, now I can divide both sides by 2. Okay, so now I have x squared plus 14x minus 50 equals 0. And we can try to factor this, but I found that it was easier just to use the quadratic formula. So I'm going to say that x equals negative 14 plus or minus root 14 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 50 times 2 times 1. Okay, so this is negative 14 plus or minus, and I found that this equaled 6 root 11 over 2. All right, but I can simplify that a little bit more because 14 is even and 6 is even, so this would be negative 7 plus or minus 3 root 11. And that's two values for x there. So negative 7 minus 3 root 11 and negative 7 plus 3 root 11. All right. So if this makes sense to you, then you should be able to do problem 9. Oh, tell a lie. Let's go back and let's talk about how you would find that y-intercept. That's the easiest part. So this implies that x equals 0. If x equals 0, then you have 2 times 0 squared plus 28 times 0 minus 100, and that equals 0. So our y-intercept is simply negative 100. 0, negative 100. Okay. So this should help you with problem 9. Okay. Now, with problem 10, let's take a look at this. So we have, or at least I have, y equals 12x plus 4 minus x squared. Okay, I'm going to rewrite this for myself. Minus x squared plus 12x plus 4. Okay, now for this, if I want to find, let's say I want to find the vertex. So for the vertex, we can have x equals negative b over 2a, and that would equal negative 12 over 2 times negative 1. So negative 12 over negative 2, and that's 6. But that's the x value. What about the y value? How do you find that? So for the y value, I'm just going to plug that value in. 12 times 6 plus 4 minus 6 squared. Okay, and I found this to be 40. Okay, so that means the vertex is 640. All right, well, that wasn't so bad, right? Okay, so that should help you with problem 10. Now, let's see. If I looked at something like y equals negative 4x plus 9 squared plus 4, and I want to know the vertex, well, this should be fairly simple because we're looking at something that's already in vertex form. Okay, so remember that the vertex is h and k. Also remember that the formula has a negative sign right there. So if I have positive 9, that must mean that I had a negative 9, okay? And for k, well, that's just going to be simply 4. So the vertex is very simple to gather. Now, is this going to open up or down? I'm not looking at a graph right now, But because this is in vertex form, well, I can see that the A is negative, so it frowns, right? Its negativity makes it frown. So this is going downward. That's not too bad, right? Okay, let's look at a function like y equals negative 3x squared plus 24x minus 2. If I want to know the vertex, well, x equals negative b over 2a, so negative 24 over 2 times negative 3, negative 24 over negative 6. Well, that's simply 4. Okay, so now I know the h value, but what is k equal to? What is k equal to? Well, you can simply find that by plugging this in. So y equals negative 3, 4 squared plus 24 times 4 minus 2. And I found this was equal to 46. Okay, so my vertex is 446. Now what about an axis of symmetry? The axis of symmetry is this formula. This is the line in which the parabola is symmetrical around itself. We already found that that was 4. Okay. So this should probably help you with problem 12, I would think. Let's take a look at a function like y equals x squared minus 16. I'm going to go ahead and do myself a favor since that looks like a difference of squares. I'm going to go ahead and factor it. I think it's going to come up, so I'm going to do that. Maybe I'll write it a little better. That looks better. So now, if I want to know the y-intercept, this implies that x must equal 0. If x equals 0, I can just plug that in right there. Y equals 0 squared minus 16 minus 16. So the y-intercept would occur at 0, negative 16. What about the x-intercept? The x-intercept implies that y equals 0. If y equals 0, then it's very helpful that I factored, because now I can see the answer is x equals negative 4, x equals 4, right? Okay, so with that, now we can clearly see what the x and y intercepts are. Now the x-intercepts, there's 2 because it's a parabola, right? It crosses the x-axis twice. So I would think this would help you with problem 13. All right, let's look at an equation like y equals negative x squared plus 4. Now, I'm going to make this a little easier for myself, so I'm going to factor out the negative sign. That way I have a difference of squares. I have x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, now from that, I think, if I'm finding the x and y intercepts, this is going to be pretty easy because the x-intercept is obviously x equals negative 2 and 2. Now the y-intercept, I just plug in x equals 0. If x equals 0, then y equals negative 0 squared plus 4, 4. Okay, so that would be happening at 0, 4. All right, well, that's not so bad. Again, we have 2. If this isn't clear, this is the point, negative 2, 0, 2, 0. So there's 2 points because it's parabola, it crosses twice, and it crosses once across the y-axis. Okay, moving on. So if I was given something like the vertex occurs at negative 5, 8, and that the y-intercept is occurring at y equals -4, I could actually find that parabola very easily because I know that this equation is going to apply, and I already know the vertex. The only thing I don't know is this a, right? I don't know that a. So this is just like those times where we would know the slope but not know the y-intercept. And we've done a million problems like that before, right? So from there, I can fill in all the information I know. I know that this equals -4. I don't know what a is. I know that that this is occurring at 0 because it's the y-intercept. And we have a -5 here, so that's going to make it positive squared plus 8, right? Now I can solve for a because I have -4. 5 squared is 25 plus 8. I can subtract 8 on both sides. This gives me -12 equals 25 a's, -25, -25. So a equals 12/25. All right. Well, that's it. So now I know what the parabola is. 12/25 x plus 5 squared plus k. All right. Oh, I know what that is. That's 8, right? Sorry about that. So we know what that is. Okay, so that should help you quite a bit with problem 15. Okay. So if I was given something like the vertex is occurring at 2, 3, and the point in which it crosses is 3, 6. Now they're just giving me a random point here. This isn't an intercept, it's just a point. I should be able to find this parabola pretty easily because I know the vertex and I know the vertex formula. So I can plug in all the given information and then solve for a. There we go. So what do we have? We have 6 equals 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So a plus 6. And I messed up. This should be 3, excuse me. So this is 6 equals a plus 3. Subtract 3 on both sides. I have a equals 3. All right. Well, now I know everything there is to know about this parabola. There we go. Y equals 3 times quantity x minus 2 squared plus 3. There it is. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, and that should help you with problem 16, okay? So I will be making more videos, but hopefully that helps you for now.